0383 or 572-0215. Rev-Up St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
Time now for Meet the Opposition. Remember, watch us live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and also live on X. Meet the Opposition, hosted by Leonard Spider Montut. Mr. Montut, welcome.
Good morning, Andre. It's a pleasure to be here as always. Let me say a special good morning to our viewers and listeners, especially those in the diaspora who religiously tune in every week. We appreciate that greatly, and like I always say, it is nice to see that you maintain an interest in what is taking place in your homeland, and that is very important. And I am hoping that, as always, as usual, we will have a very informative, insightful program. Today, I have for you a special guest who will be with us shortly. That is the endorsed candidate for Vieux-Fort South. That is Liana Johannes Paul, Lady Lee. And she will be here to talk about, among other things, her constituency and what is going on in the South. But in the meantime, we know that since we last met, we had a massive event for the St. Lucia Labour Party in the South. That is the launching of Danny Butcher, then the candidate who will do battle in the next election for them. Of course, the United Workers' Party, as usual, had its Flabo Live, Sunday Live, in the constituency of Castries East, that is in Bocage, where we featured Chico and some of the other candidates of the Castries Basin. So, the political fever is heating up, and as we see, people are moving into the next gear right now. Andre, it appears that it's inevitable, election is nigh, and as a result, you begin to hear quite a lot and see quite a lot and so on. What I've noticed is, some disturbing trends, and I mentioned it before, I'm going to mention it again, where the government, the St. Lucia Labour Party, is blurring the lines between government and party. And I say so because you're not supposed to use state resources for your party's campaign. That is wrong, because it is our taxpayers' money, whether independent, UWP, Labour, or indifferent. The people who are apolitical pay taxes and so on. And I do not think it is appropriate, I do not think it is just for a government to use state resources in advancing their political cause. And that is exactly what is happening. And I say so because we hear of talk of vouchers being distributed by candidates, SLP candidates, okay, in an effort to solicit people's support at the next general election, especially when you have candidates who are not even a part of government. I've heard talk of Estefan Babono, okay, giving out vouchers. I mean, in what capacity? What qualifies him? In the first place, it is wrong and inappropriate for even the government ministers, or certain government ministers who are candidates, to do so, let alone for someone who's not even a part of government. We saw the Prime Minister, present Lisa at a cabinet press briefing to talk about her launching. I mean, what is the nexus between cabinet business, which is state business, and a party's event, Lisa's launching? That is highly inappropriate, and that shows that tendency of the St. Lucia Labour Party to disregard proper protocol, to disregard convention and traditions, and to disregard the tenets of good democracy in this country. And that, if we do not stem this, we allow this to continue, it will go from bad to worse, because that is how some things begin. Like they say, you have a child, you love the child so much that you do not correct the child when young, when they go wrong. Perhaps what it might take is a little tap on the wrist to stop them. You don't. But in the end, when they get out of hand, that is when you want to break their arm to correct them. By then it's too late. And so we need to stop it now. And St. Lucians must raise their voice against those, because this thing seems innocuous, seems, inconsequential. But it has far-reaching consequences, because these are the things. When you allow an inch, they take a mile. And before you know it, the country will be overrun by authoritarianism, by dictators, and you will not have a democracy where you have a voice anymore. It appears that the St. Lucia Labour Party is bent on creating a one-party state. If you see the kind of aggression they display, I mean, just check what happened with Kakal in the South. Okay, that is Calix Xavier, who is the candidate for Beaufort North for the UWP. When he's having his meeting, the SLPs actually come to the guy's meeting to disrupt his meeting. Now, I'm saying in a democracy, everyone has an equal right. And just as the Labour Party ought to have the meeting, and I'm hoping that no UWP thinks that they should go there to disturb or disrupt. If you want to listen to what they have to what they have to say, by all means, you can go and listen. But the UWP will not condone nor encourage supporters going to disrupt Labour Party meetings. And likewise, the Labour Party supporters do not have a right to do so, and their leaders should discourage that practice, because these are the things that can go from bad to worse, that can lead to further confrontation and even physical altercation.
I'm just curious, are there police officers in that area?
Well, it depends on what the event is. I think Kakal was just having a little cottage thing, so, they didn't think it required police presence. But you see, I don't even think that we need the police to come and enforce these principles. I think we as a civilized society should understand that just like you have your say, Andre, I have my say, and we must be tolerant of even opposing views. And so I'm mindful of and concerned about all of the things. And further to that, I was talking about the blurring of the lines between party and state by the St. Lucia Labour Party. We saw too, where Lisa came out. Lisa is not an elected member. Lisa is not a member of cabinet. She is not a member of the House of Assembly. And I say so because she is a member of the Senate, okay, which makes her a parliamentarian, but she's not a parliamentarian in the House of Assembly. And these are the people who are the representatives of the different constituencies. But she's the one who's going to speak about she's working while her opponent is whatever she is working, and because she's putting up lights on the playing field, whichever playing field in her constituency. Who the hell is Lisa to be talking about she's putting up playing field? I mean, that is our taxpayers' dollar. The government is putting up playing field, not Lisa. And these are the things that you take heed of those things, because these are the indicators of the mindset and the direction that those people are going. So you have to be wary of those things, and ask yourself questions. Are those the kind of principles you want to nurture in our democracy, so that by the time you check ourselves, and we don't have a say anymore?
Sorry. Yeah. Shouldn't your party write the Prime Minister on these matters, because these are serious matters?
Well, I think we should. I will certainly suggest that the party does, and if they don't, I will. Because, it is of concern to me. I don't hear anybody else talking about it, but St. Lucians better take heed of those things. Like I said, we ignore a lot of things, and, because, even crime, Andre, you see people drive with loud music, you see people urinate on the side of the road, you see people throw garbage and so on, and we ignore it. But the next thing you see them firing bullets, Things go from bad to worse if unchecked.
Exactly.
And so these are the things we have to be mindful and so on. Now, talking about Lisa, Andre, like I said before, and I'm going to repeat again, I'm not into people's personal life. However, we must understand when we place ourselves in public life, we come under greater scrutiny than the average person. And there's a good reason for that, because, Andre, I need to know your character. I need to have a sense of your principles. I need to know whether you're a person of integrity. I need to know whether you have credibility before I place my trust in you to become my parliamentary representative, and not just the parliamentary representative for the constituency where I live, but you may very well be part of the government, in other words, the cabinet, where you have access to state resources and you have quote-unquote power in terms of the decisions you can make, the things you can cause to happen or not happen, and so on. So if you don't have the right character, you can have a serious problem. And so your character must come into question, and people have a right to question your character when you present yourself. And so I'm saying, I saw this letter surface about Lisa Jiwai, the SLP candidate for Castries South East, where it is being said that she took a student loan, and the loan was co-signed by an individual. And the letter is a letter from a lawyer's office, and it is suggesting that Lisa has, since the loan was taken and the gentleman co-signed, has since never made a payment. And despite spurring by the individual, she has not responded, so much so that she has stopped responding to his communication. And so he wrote a letter to her from a lawyer asking her to honor her responsibility. Now, Andre, if that's you and your brother and so on, that has nothing to do with me. If your brother is my friend, I'll advise him what to do, to go to a lawyer, what have you. But that really would, and truly you can tell me, is not my business. But when you are a public figure, Andre, that brings into question your character. That brings into question your integrity. That brings into question your principles. So if you're going to renege on a responsibility, and mind you, I'm not saying that it is so or not. I'm saying there's that allegation out there. And recognizing that there's that allegation in the public domain, it is your responsibility, Andre, to clear the air on that. Because I, as a voter, I want to know if that is so. Because if that is so, my judgment of you will be different as opposed to if it is not. And so you have to clear the air. If it is not, tell us that it is not. If it is so, perhaps, Andre, she has a very legitimate excuse. I can't think of what it might be, but I want to give anybody the benefit of the doubt. She might have a very legitimate excuse. Come out and clear the air on that. Up to now, she has not responded. Now, these are the things that we cannot allow, because public figures cannot think they can deal with what they want and dodge whatever it is they want. That is pertinent. That is a substantive matter that is on the table, that is out there, that is outstanding. You have to deal with it. Come out and explain to the public. You owe it to the public. It's just like you're asking us to put our trust in you. We need to know whether you're a trustworthy person. We need to know whether you have the credibility for us to place the trust in you, whether your integrity is intact, what the kind of principles you have, whether you're the kind of person who will not honor your responsibilities and walk away, after making a promise and so on. Because obviously, if a person co-sign, Andre, normally it is an arrangement whereby if I cannot pay, you will pay. The question is, couldn't she pay? You understand what I'm saying? I mean, as far as I know, apart from being a senator, which she gets some compensation for, she, according to her CV, is some big communications guru. And she worked for the St. Lucia Labour Party as well. And so, Andre, now, mind you, I'm not here just to blast and condemn anybody, I've been around for a while.
Especially if it's not true.
Yeah, especially if it's not true.
Right, exactly.
But I've been around for a while, Andre, and even if it is true, I want to hear an explanation. Because you see, some of us think life is perfect. It's not perfect for everyone. I've had my challenges in life. I have taken loans and had to struggle as well. But, of course, I let the bank know, boy, that is the situation, that is what I can pay and so on. Of course, you pay for it down the road because your interest...
You did that?
Yeah. Your interest multiplies. So in the end, you have to pay a lot more than you would have and than you should have. Because when I paid a lot more for my student loan than I should have. Because there was a time I came from school, I was unemployed. You understand what I'm saying? But the bank expects you to pay at a certain point. They're not interested whether you're employed or not, and so on. But you see, the average St. Lucian can understand those things. But while I was working, I paid my loan. You understand? And that is what counts. That is what matters. And if you cannot pay, Andre, perhaps you could tell me, look, man, that's unforeseen. I have a sick relative who requires medication daily to keep a person alive. I didn't cater for that. I didn't bargain for that. But the person depends on me and so on, so I'm going priority. I don't know if you think that's justified or not, but whatever the case is, we need to know. And you cannot, you see, now that's the thing I have a problem with. You have Kenson Kazimi in Grozile, who people are questioning the accumulation of wealth that they see that he has accumulated all of a sudden in the last 3-4 years. You are a public figure. What they have seen has raised suspicion. It is your responsibility to come out and put people's mind at ease and put the matter to rest and let people know that you have done nothing untoward. There's nothing criminal about your accumulation of wealth. There's nothing illegal about it. That you, in fact, earned what you have and you can account for what you have.
So let me ask you something, Mr. Montour. What if he explains, but it's not to your satisfaction?
No. Well, if it's not to my satisfaction, not just me, to the public satisfaction.
So what advice do you have for an individual in that situation?
Okay, let me give
because if the public is not satisfied.
Let me tell you what advice I have for you, Andre. Andre, you suddenly became an elected member. You're a minister of government, and I see you driving a brand new vehicle. You have property in prime areas of the country, several properties all of a sudden. Andre, the question is, boy, I'm wondering, is it the state resources that is going in the wrong way, that has been misappropriated?
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting gifts under the table and so on, which is, by the way, illegal? Or what is going on? It is your responsibility to say to me, apart from my ministerial salary, I have a radio station, and you don't have to exactly tell me you're making $1,000 a day or whatever it is, but I have a radio station that so on. And besides, you don't declare maybe the amount you make to me, but you have to declare that to the Integrity Commission. While some of those questions were being asked, there was no Integrity Commission. It was not constituted. These are the things that worry people. These things that bother. Why would a government breach one of the provisions of our democracy, a check, a balance, a measure for accountability, like the Integrity Commission was not constituted? We have to ask ourselves that question. And so, at the end of the day,
getting back to what I asked you.
You have to tell me that, okay, my grandmother died now. You see, the thing about it is, or maybe not died, but my parents or my pass over to me, so and so. That's legitimate, that's legal. Okay, so I understand, okay, well, all right. I see where Andre get that. He has a source of income, he inherit property, and so on. That you owe the public. Right now, if I come and ask you that, you can tell me where to go. You know what I'm saying? That's your personal business.
Right.
But when you become a public figure,
right,
there are legitimate reasons why. Because you see, these are the checks that are in place to control and prevent corruption,
But let's go back to the question I asked you.
Yeah.
What would satisfy? Because
I just told you, he has to come
he's
out and
tried
spell
explaining
it out.
already.
No, what
He's tried.
explanation? Okay, you'll tell
So
me.
I'm asking you
what,
now.
I cannot take a loan? That's an explanation, Andre? No.
No, he said he worked.
Well-
He had how many jobs he had and so on.
Okay.
That's what he said.
I worked as a sports officer. I earned, I don't remember the salary now, but let's say $5,000 a month. I worked as a minister of government. I got about $15,000 a month. So now, that qualifies me to get a loan from the bank of $1 million. And the property I have is $900,000. So you have explained yourself. But to tell me I worked, how much do you make? And right now, you will not even watch me when I ask you that question. But if you're in that situation and you claiming at your radio station, you have to tell us how much you're making, because you're claiming that is what put you in a position to do it. How much you're making? You're a sports officer. How much were you making? You're a minister of government. How much are you making? You understand what I'm saying? And that is where the problem lies. The average person doing the maths in their minds does not see it adding up. So there's some mystery. There's no mystery, Andre. A mystery is something we don't understand. That is not explained to us yet. But to him, it's not a mystery. Explain to the public so that you demystify the situation. So at the end of the day, he owes it to St. Lucia. He owes it to us, and he must account for it. If he does not account now, he will account at the back end, because it is suspicious. And I'm telling you, it is suspicious.
So I'm still asking, what more would you like him to do?
Andre, I just told you. Okay, let me tell you what I did. When he questioned how I come to be driving a Lexus, okay, I said, a minister is now entitled, at the time, to duty-free. So the Lexus I have, if it was valued at $200,000 for you, it would not be for me. Okay?
Yes.
I want to welcome our guest, Lady Lee, who is with us now. So we'll come to you in a while, Lady Lee. Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome, Lily Lee.
Yeah.
Hi.
And so I said so. That's one thing. So first of all, you no longer calculating my Lexus as $200,000 because I got it duty free. Number two, I took a loan at the St. Lucia Teachers Credit Union. I was once a teacher, Andre. I joined the credit union. I'm still a member of the credit union. I got a loan at the St. Lucia Teachers Credit Union. Now I don't want to exactly tell you that I'm paying $200, but I can give you, Andre, a media person, okay, the authorization to get the information. If they understand that, you don't necessarily come and say, well, I skipped a payment last month, and I don't think people want all that detail. What they want to know is that the loan is within manageable proportions of his salary. That's what they want to know. You understand? You owe it to people. When Emma Hippolyte talked about I have a farm in Sarat and all that kind of thing, again, I explained, okay? And I actually said, I promised the people that I would write to the bank, that's St. Lucia Development Bank, to authorize the media to have access to my records, my account, to see that I in fact took a loan from them. And I said it publicly. I say, I hope the bank don't tell them how many payments I've missed. You know, the point is, I owe it to the public. And even now, Andre, I'm no longer a public figure. I don't expect to come under the kind of scrutiny that Lady Lee or Kenson Kazimi will come under. But I still have a responsibility, the fact that I was, you know. If, for example, now, you suddenly see Abela Castle in Grocery, but I used to be a minister. Since I left government, I have this business, or Andre likes me and he pass over or whatever. You have to explain it, because people will think that you came out of government with the state resources and now you invest in it. You owe it to people. You see, that's an unfortunate thing for us who have been involved in politics, but that goes with the territory. And you know that before you enter. You understand what I'm saying? My wife, Andre, too much to her chagrin, every year had to declare her assets and liability to the Integrity Commission, you know. I know she go anywhere, I involve myself in politics, I have to go through. Because you are the spouse of a politician, and the two of you can connive, okay, to embezzle state resources, and then you play real boy, it's not mine, it's my wife's own, and so on. Right. So the people must know, through the Integrity Commission, of course, that she's earning so much, so she's not in a position to drive a Rolls Royce. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so we need to hold, and you see, that's the thing, we need to hold, because based on side, we cannot say, well, boy, I mean, I'm a supporter of UWP, no question about that. So now you're asking Lady Lee, I'm upset? No. Lady Lee, you put yourself in politics, you make a decision, you chose to be in that. That comes with the territory, you have to explain. You understand what I'm saying?
So what's happening with the Integrity Commission then?
Well, I understand after we raised the alarm about it, was almost a year, there was no Integrity Commission. We raised the alarm, they finally reconstituted it. You understand? And that's a major breach of one of the fundamental tenets of a democracy, you know. That is accountability, you know.
Okay, so now they're actually functioning as they should.
Yeah, but the question
So how does the opposition now get the Integrity Commission to investigate what you are...
Well, unfortunately, we have some independent, and I put big inverted commas on both sides of that word, independent institutions that are supposed to function above the fray. But Andre, you appoint me, you don't have me here. So when Lady Lee comes and asks me questions about you, I want to be here. So she has to understand the extent to which I will cooperate with her. And you see, after you appoint those people, they're supposed to be independent. But we know that's a joke, Andre. We know that's a joke. I mean, the day, although we have had people that we appointed and they put us in our place when we try to overstep our boundaries, okay? And I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning his name, the fact that he's not a politician and so on. I remember Frank Myers, you know? I was Minister of Public Service. I couldn't go to Frank Myers and say to him, boy, there's this job there, consider Andre. You know what I'm saying? There are people who uphold the principles, but there are others who play to the tune, who dance to the tune. You understand what I'm saying? And so I have my worries, my questions, and so on. And I am thinking it should not be the Prime Minister or the government to appoint a body such as the Integrity Commission. It should not be. I don't know to what extent in a small society like ours you can find a truly independent people. Because if you say, okay, the churches, the Chamber of Commerce, let's say the National Youth Council, whatever other body you might think that, you know, has the stature, come together and choose the Integrity Commission. They might choose me, because I'd like to think I'm an upstanding, upright citizen. But I have a side, you know, Andre. At the end of the day, I have a side. Am I principled enough to set aside my political bias and to act fairly and to act with integrity. That is the problem. You understand?
Well, so let me ask you now. If, let's just assume the Integrity Commission does their work where Kenson is concerned,
Right.
and they say, hey, everything is above board, we're good to go. Would you be satisfied with that?
I would be satisfied with that.
Okay, all right.
Because, you know what? They now cannot put their integrity on the line for Kenson, because do not forget there's a possibility of a change of government. And when the government changes, that government will appoint an Integrity Commission and can ask them, yes, no, but there's nothing wrong with that, Andre, and can ask them to investigate the results, the outcome of that previous report. And, of course, there's, I think, the financial, whatever authority, FIA, I think it is, who are supposed to do things like that as well. You understand? These people are supposed to investigate people, you know. Because, Andre, the other reason why you have to be investigated, Andre, you know, if you are bankrupt, you cannot contest election. You're not supposed to contest election.
Well, that makes sense to me.
Now, how do I know if you're bankrupt? You might declare you're bankrupt, so everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
But I come there, you know, if I even had breakfast this morning, you know what I'm saying? So if you are bankrupt, you cannot. Now, I'm saying that's harsh, but I can see the reasons why. Because, Andre, the hungrier you are, the more you tempted to steal bread, you know. You know what I'm saying? Now, that is not to say that they are not hungry people with integrity. Okay, they will ask for the bread, they will not steal it, as hungry as they are. And that is not to say, Andre, that you own a bakery will not steal my bread still. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to balance it off. That is why we have checks and balances, and that is why our system is built where we have an opposition. So if the government wins the majority of the seats, they in government, and the rest share up, minority have no voice. That is why the opposition is there. And we must ask the question, the pertinent questions, and I think it is a legitimate request of Kenson Kazimi for him to come clean, okay, open his books, let the public know how he has come to accumulating all that wealth. Because, Andre, understand the danger in that. You have drug dealers in this country who work nowhere that we know of. They own fancy cars, they wear gold chains, they have mansions, they can buy out bars, they can travel to fancy places and so on. And we sit by and say nothing. Andre, we all did simple arithmetic in school. It does not add up, but nobody asks questions. We have become a society that reveres wealth. Wealth is power, and anybody who has wealth, we show reverence to them, we bow to them, and we embrace and accept them, even though we suspect that their wealth is from illicit means.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what kind of society are you going to have when you do things like that? You don't even make me uncomfortable for the illicit wealth that I have. I'm acceptable, especially if I make a little donation to the church. I contribute to the building of the public facility in Grosile. You know, I do some charitable work and so on. Oh, a great guy, and the Robin Hood principle, you know. And so on. We can't have that in our society, you know, because that is what begins, you know, the decadence, the decay of society, and that's what starts. Well, that's where the chaos starts, you know. So anyway, Andre, we have our guest here with us, and I do not want to delay any further because, you know, soon from now you'll see on the platform our listeners saying, Spider, I don't want to hear you, I want to hear your guest. So welcome, Lady Lee. I think this is your first time on Meet the Opposition.
Absolutely.
Yes, and we're happy to have you here.
It's my pleasure.
I can tell you a secret before we start. Andre was actually really looking forward to seeing you here.
I was telling him I sent you a message since yesterday. You haven't checked your phone as yet.
Oh my God.
Yes, so he said you're on the hustings. That's right.
Yes, up and about, press briefing here and there, doing a lot of things yesterday.
So, Lady Lee, it's a pleasure to have you here. And just quickly, let me just introduce you as the endorsed candidate for the United Workers' Party for the constituency of Vieux South. And you will be doing battle, and you know who your opponent is. He was launched on Sunday.
Yes.
You'll be doing battle against Danny Butcher for the St. Lucia Labour Party. But before we get into that, I have quite a few questions to ask you, and we may, you know, find time to have some of our listeners to chime in as well and ask a few questions. But I just want to ask you, why is Lady Lee, with all your, just like Andre Paul, I think, or in that vein, with all your popularity on radio, People are showing adulation and adoration. When people call her to curse me, they don't curse Andre. It's love for Andre. Why would you want to leave that and get into politics?
That's a good question. It's a very good question.
And that's a very interesting question. As I have already stated, I am not the typical politician. Let's put it that way. Politics is not something or somewhere I envision myself. But the point is, I am here. It's like I woke up one morning, and that's what I wanted to do. I've been asked by many persons to get into politics, and I'm like, this is not for me. I cannot take on the mapui. I don't have time for this. I don't want this. Because politics has become the devil's playground. That's what I call it, back then. Because all people want to do is dig in your past, speak the truths, speak the lies, exaggerate. So I'm like, this is not for me. But one morning I woke up and I'm like, you know what? This is what I want to do. So when I look at it, my love for people and wanting what's best for the people of Vieux Fort and St. Lucia at large is my reason for wanting to be in politics right now. Now, I have to go a little in depth. It's, put it that way, I'm not ashamed to say it or afraid to say it. I almost lost my life in Barbados in 2010. And there is no way I could have survived that ordeal had it not been for the man up above. Impossible. Me being here right now is a miracle. So in return, my prayers to God is, you know what? I just want the opportunity to thank you for giving me the chance to be here. Now, for me to be able to thank him, that's all I pray for every single day for the past over 10 years, let's put it that way, 15 years. Just give me the opportunity to say thank you. Put me in a position where I can have access to resources to give back. I want to be able to help people just for saving my life. I want to be able to do the same for people, and that is why I am here. And I believe he put me there for a reason. So hence my love for people, wanting what's best for the people of Vieux Fort, just to improve the quality of life of people. This is really my reason for being here, because let me tell you something, it's not easy out there. When I look at people out there, I am fortunate. I would say I'm fortunate with life. When I look at people who are less fortunate than I am, they cannot afford certain things. Some would come to me, and the fact that I couldn't have assisted them, I lose sleep over it. I cry. I shed tears when I cannot assist people, because that is something I have been doing all along, long before politics. So just the opportunity to be able to give back, share the love, just give back to the people of Vieux Fort and St. Lucia. That is my reason for getting into elections and politics right now.
Okay, Lady Lee, accepted.
Yes.
I want to ask you a question.
Go right ahead.
I think we didn't know for a fact, but we all anticipated that Dr. Kenny Anthony would make his exit from politics. After being Prime Minister, he spent a term as a backbencher and so on. I mean, he's more advanced in age now and everything. We saw his career coming to an end. So why didn't you line up to be a replacement for Dr. Kenny Anthony, but you chose instead to go with the United Workers' Party?
That is another interesting question.
Yeah.
My umbilical cord, I would say, is embedded in the United Workers' Party. And like I've said before, it started way back in the tenure of Sir John Compton, because his first child was with my aunt. Way back then. I was not even born yet. I don't even think my mom and my dad ever thought of having me. So basically, the entire family was with him, even when he was with the St. Lucia Labour Party. My grandparents back then, they were with him. So when he switched over, formed another party, the family followed suit. So everything around me entails the United Workers' Party. So that's all I knew. That's what I was raised into. Following the rallies from a little child with my mom and my dad, or that's for my dad. They would say he's a penis flabo, you could call him that way. So he always took us out with him. And that's the only party I ever knew. But then again, when I look at things getting older and getting to understand what the party stands for, their goals, their values, their core values, it's in alignment with what I stand for. All the integrity, when you respect, and all those things, it's in alignment with me. And this is why I chose this party.
Okay.
They are going forward in life, and that is what I want to do to better people, because it's the party of the people.
Okay, but I'm sure you'll agree with me that Yes, Andre will go up for La Clery and I'll go for Grosile and so on. But sometimes you vote for Andre, sometimes you vote for Andre because of the leader. I got votes because of Compton in Grosile. So in other words, what I'm saying...
How do you know that?
Well, there are certain people who tell you it doesn't matter who go up for UWP. Once it's Compton's party, or Compton is the leader, they will vote for you because of Compton. And I think the same applies to every leader. There are people, of course, who will vote against you for that reason too. So the point I want to get to is, because Andre, I have no way of knowing exactly how many and so on, but I believe that that is the case. But the point I'm making is that I'm sure both of you will agree with me that we are into leadership politics to a great extent, not just in St. Lucia, but in the Caribbean. The leader makes a difference. Alan Chasney is the leader of the United Workers' Party. Philip Japia is the leader of the SLP. You have already told us why you chose UWP. But do you have any issues, any problems, or any pluses for the fact that Alan Chasney is the leader of the United Workers' Party? Does that make a difference to you?
It does make a difference. I would walk anywhere with Mr. Alan Chasney, Honorable Alan Chasney. He's a fighter. I admire him. Right now we are at 15-2. Only 2 persons. And the fire I see in his eyes when he's in that house and he's fighting for the people of St. Lucia and the United Workers' Party, I have admiration for him. And I will walk any street with him. The resilience. You just can't compare the two. He's a man, like I said, he has vision. And I will go back to the meme they put on lying about me when I said I wanted to shadow health. And right away he said, no, I will say it again. If the Labour Party wants to say what they want to say, they can go right ahead. Go ahead and make another meme, that's okay. But it comes down to saying that Mr. Chasney had a vision for me. While I wanted health, because I'm almost done with my bachelor's degree in health science, and I specialize in public health and health policies, he saw something different in me. Now, what he saw in me is what I was running away from for the longest while, and that's things to do with women affairs, gender for men, battered women. And that is the vision he had for me. He saw that in me, and I was trying to run away from it. Because when I sit down and I think about what I went through, I don't want to relive it. But that is what I asked God to put me there for, to help women, to help people, especially women that went through the experience I went through. So it all comes down to say he saw that in me. Hence why he said health, I want you in gender affairs. He has a vision. Good leadership skills he possesses. And I don't care what people say. I will walk down the street anytime with Honorable Alan Chasney as the leader of the party. But he has a mind.
But you don't mind if I call you Lady Lee?
Go right ahead.
Lady Lee, you come from the South. You come from Vieux-Fort. You know, in the last 25, 28 years, you had a prime minister for 15 of those years, you know.
Yes.
So, didn't that make a difference? I mean, okay, yes, if Alan Chasney is prime minister, he's also from the South. He's representing the South. Yes. And we know of his plans and so on for the South. But you had a prime minister for 15 years in the South. So, why you didn't support Kenny Anthony?
Why should I support Kenny Anthony? That's the big question.
The leader is in a position to make all the difference, you know.
My goals are not in alignment with what he believes in.
Okay.
For one, the United Workers' Party, Alan Chasney, he have plans for Vieux-Fort. In our tenure in government, in that short space of time before COVID, job creation, we had ITEL, we had OJO, and I'm going to tell it to you. It brings joy when I sit by some friends. When I'm doing my canvassing, I could see the young ladies from Shantytown or Bruceville dressed up, going to work at the call centers. Besides that, we have no other form of job creations. And who brought that into Vieux-Fort?
I heard somebody say the only thing you'll have is SNS.
SNS, and I've been saying it over and over. Yeah. They want to take my head for it, but it's a fact.
Yeah.
Si pate pour SNS Vieux-Fort fini. There is nothing in the bottom part of Vieux-Fort. Absolutely nothing. SNS brings life to the bottom part of Vieux-Fort. So besides, let's put SNS aside, let's knock it off. The call centers, that is what has brought employment opportunities to Vieux Fort, and it's a joy. I was speaking about that with someone only last night. It's a joy. So he brought employment opportunities. He started St. Jude's, the airport. But in the years before that, let's go back before 1997, man, Vieux Fort was the place to be. People from Castries came to Vieux Fort. I can recall your did you party in Vieux Fort back then?
Did I?
In the early 90s? Were you in Vieux Fort partying, if I can recall? I know I was young. Before 97,
Most
we
likely.
had clubs, yes.
Most likely.
And we had Dr. Bit coming down. Vieux Fort was lively. We had things going on. It was a vibe. Business places thrived back then. We had J&B, not J&B, we had BJB. We had JQ. We had so many business places, Valmore. In the bottom town of Vieux Fort, we had nightlife. Kima Tri, we had Il Pirata, we had Club Extreme, Club Exquisite, Ocean Hideaway. Those are clubs back in the days. Where are they now? Lots of businesses, restaurants. We had a good thing going on. But then all this went down. Within the time of having a Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, we should have been up there. But we regressed. That's not supposed to happen. It was supposed to be better. We're supposed to have shopping malls. Our international airport should have been better. Hospitals should have been better. But everything went downhill.
Okay, well, Lady, I listened to you, and you almost like beginning to sound like you unwrapping or unraveling Dr. Kenny's legacy, who was the parliamentary representative for Vieux Fort South for 28 years so far. At the end, depending on when they call the election, might be 29, almost 30 years. And like you said, 15 of those years he was Prime Minister and Minister of Finance and so on. So you would have thought that this man would have had a rich legacy to boast of and so on. But before we go into that, I have a clip that it's a clip that I heard on News Spin, and a regular quality News Spin had his say on the issue since the launching of Danny Butcher. And he had his say, he gave a synopsis in terms of assessing Kenny's tenure and Danny Butcher as the successor and so on. Before we go into the discussion about Vieux Fort from your perspective, I want you to listen to, and my listeners to listen to that clip, and then I will comment on it and we will discuss it.
That's the party consensus. I mean, Kenny's record as being involved in political scandal stands supreme, Rochamel? In fact, even the first one, the one where Compton was put on the stand, that was a campaign promise, remember?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I believe that Kenny won that election, obviously, with a lot of UWPs converted to red shirts. Because it could not possibly be all Labour Party people when you have 16-1.
Obviously.
With hardly any campaigning on his part, because the campaigning had been done by Julian Hunt. Okay, so most of the campaigning had been done by Julian Hunt for the fair and all that stuff. So, but he came there and 16-1. But Kenny also has, to his record, Compton, I was making the point. Compton, the minute Mallet was required to read, as it were, turn the throne speech into an indictment of John Compton, Prime Minister, whom Mallet had served as a Deputy Prime Minister with for something like almost 40 years. It turned at least half of those people who supported Kenny, it turned them away from him. They saw it as vindictive, they saw it as wicked, unnecessary, and especially with the result of the inquiry proving it, more or less supporting the general feeling that it was totally unnecessary. I'm going to admit before anybody accuses me that I thought it was all, that's what immaturity does to you, and what what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, immaturity and that does to you. You oppose Compton, and at the time Compton and I were serious loggerheads, you may remember. So it was funny to me to see Mallet, his deputy, indicting him. But I have said 100 times since then that when I was a child, it did the things of a child. When you're a man, you put away childish things. That there was never anything funny about having Mallet do that. serious consideration. It was vindictive. It was thoughtless. It was mindless because you were setting a precedent. You were also further dividing people.
Okay,
I'm saying
but shouldn't Mallet have done the honorable thing and resign from the post of Governor General? Because you're reading the traditional throne speech, automatically will say, my government, my government, my government. He knew that.
Tim, I tell you, that's one of my regrets in my working life here. But it wasn't my fault. Mallet refused to talk to anyone. It was his idiosyncrasy anyway. Mallet never told anybody why he read it, why he even stayed in office until when he came into office. He knew what was going to happen. Nobody knows why he did, but he did, and we don't know. He may say sense of duty if he wants to put sense of duty above personally. You can look good saying that. But whatever his reasons, I prefer to dwell on what motivated this really counterproductive thing, of which I was a spectator, applauding spectator part, and I regret that very, very much. It was stupid, it was mindless, it was thoughtless. So that is something that's a black mark on our history, a black mark on my journalism, if not complaining against it. Well, not complaining against it. I should have been wise enough and to see where that could lead. So I would have to include that. That was the first thing that probably took away half of Kenny's support in his first term. You can understand why. Because so many UW supported him as the bright boy, the great white hope, and all that kind of stuff. They saw him as something good. There was a fantastic campaign. I have not seen a campaign in St. Lucia like that since then. Everything was solid for Kenny to make the change. Kenny was best placed in this country to make a change in St. Lucia. In fact, he joined in, and he joined in with some element that made it worse. So now we move from Broom Cooper to Rochamel, to Franwell, to Grindberg, to NCA, to Impacts, give them a break for Christmas, and I could go on and on and on. All those things have been piled up on Kenny's record as a prime minister, as a politician. And yet, he got elected, Tim. He got elected over and over. So now I listen to this now, and I'm thinking, this young man, who sounds like Kenny Anthony, by the way, he obviously has the preacher training and all the gymnastics, and Kenny does the same in the house as well. That guy's really a student of Kenny, if not an adoring of Kenny Anthony. I can see Kenny Anthony being in the room teaching him how to speak and how to read. Well, it's unfortunate because what this guy inherits, and you can't explain that, is the state of Beaufort. And yesterday, I think, at the meeting, Kenny Anthony, to my mind, although some people told me warning is a better word, but warning and threaten, if you look it up, are synonymous. Kenny threatened Tommy, a very popular young man. And it sounded so awful, a guy of Kenny's age, threatening. He should be lecturing. It's threatening Tommy Descott. And why? The more important reason is why he threatened the guy by saying to him, watch your tongue with me. Remember the accent? You should play it. Watch your tongue with me. I am still here. What the hell could that possibly mean? Especially when you are the mayor of Crime City. You know, your government made Beaufort Crime City. It has chosen, even on the eve of elections, not to remove the tag of escalated crime. What is it? What do you call it?
Escalated crime area.
Escalated crime area. Even on the eve of elections, it has, even for politics, it has seen no need to change its attitude to Beaufort, the government that you sit on. So he has to take the burden. So when Tommy said, between so and so years, Kenny's accountable for the crime in Beaufort, why would he not be accountable for the crime in Beaufort? He's accountable for everything else in Beaufort. He's accountable for the square. He's accountable for the man. He's accountable for everything. In entertainment, you are the prime minister and rep for the area. How can you pick and choose what you're accountable for? And his very famous line about give the people a break for Christmas was not because they were making noise. There was noise pollution. It is because the crime was overwhelming to the point that the police were apparently incapable of handling it. And so he stood up publicly and pleaded with those people, give the people a break for Christmas, referring to the criminals. So how can he not be associated with that? And then it is election time. So when Tommy says you have to be held accountable for that, is that out of place?
Clearly not.
I don't see that. But that is what he was referring to. Watch your tongue. I am still here. And he suggested that I'm not talking about court. That is what I got the feeling out of it. In case you're thinking I'm talking about court, which would be stupid. I mean, Ken is a lawyer, but you're going to sue the man for saying he holds you accountable for what's going on in Beaufort when you were the rep. So he indicated, as I understood it, that he wasn't referring to court. But I am still here, and I will make you pay, which brought to mind against what he did to Alan Chasney. When Alan Chasney promised to have a serious investigation into Grindberg, remember that?
Yeah.
And he said right there that if Alan, and I paraphrase, that if Alan does in fact carry out that investigation, I will make sure you inherit the whirlwind. There has been no such investigation. So and so it goes. So it's very interesting hearing all that stuff, and I hope I'm around to see how that pans out at election time, or how the young guy, the new guy, how he handles that burden. Should be very, very interesting.
All right, Rick.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, so I thought that contribution was very interesting. Of course, that was Rick Wayne, unmistakable, And the thing about Rick Wayne is that when he provides a perspective, it is laced with historical context. It is, all of these things are brought to bear there because of his wide range experience and knowledge about the politics of St. Lucia and so on. And I found it very, very telling, very, very interesting, some of the things that he said, because he's in fact indicating that the legacy that is being spoken of now, that Dr. Anthony is passing on to Danny Butcher, is not a very exciting, enticing legacy. I mean, like I said in another place, I mean, that legacy doesn't give Danny a leg to stand on, and at the end of the day, you inheriting, in effect, now Dr. Kenny Anthony very cleverly made an analogy, in passing the baton, and he referenced track and field, like when you're running a relay and passing the baton. But like I said, in the relay, because I was an athlete myself and a coach, I know that there's a change in zone, And, Danny had to meet Dr. Kenny Anthony in the changing zone to take the battle. But what was the zone? A zone of escalated crime. Because that is what Dr. Kenny Anthony's successor, Philip J. Pierre, labeled Beaufort as an escalated crime zone. And like Rick quite interestingly observed, not even on the eve of an election where the Labour Party we know would do any and everything for the purpose of getting votes and for election purposes, they didn't even remove that label on Beaufort. So the escalated crime zone that he has passed on to Danny, he presided over Beaufort while it took that downward slide and got to where it is. And interestingly, I didn't even remember, Rick made reference to the statement that Dr. Anthony made years ago while he was Prime Minister and Parliamentary Representative of Beaufort, asking the criminals to give the people a chance for Christmas. Now, for him to have done that, like Rick said, it's not because they're keeping noise, because there was serious crime taking place in the town of Beaufort. And rather than as a leader deal with it, he was pleading with the criminals. That tells us that it's not today criminals that have taken over Beaufort under Dr. Kenny Anthony's watch. And what has it done between then and now? It has only gotten worse to the extent that his own government refers to Beaufort as an escalated crime zone. So that is what Danny Butcher will be inheriting from Dr. Anthony. That is the legacy that Dr. Kenny Anthony leaves behind. And let me tell you what is dangerous about it. Danny Butcher is a protege of Kenny Anthony, and he is intended to continue the legacy of Dr. Kenny Anthony. So, Viewfort, you will be getting more of the same with Danny Butcher. So, to break that trend, you have to make a change. The change is not from Kenny to Danny. That's one and the same. The change has to be from Labour to UWP first and foremost, and from Danny, or rather Dr. Kenny Anthony, you skip over Danny because it's the same Kenny Anthony in a different shell, and go to Lady Lee as the parliamentary representatives. And I'm confident, based on what I've heard in terms of the policies of the United Workers' Party, what I know, the plans Lady Lee has for Viewfort, and the vision that Alan Chasney has for the South, that you will see a different picture. Okay, and that is what will bring that dreary, dark legacy that Dr. Kenny Anthony has left behind. That is what is going to break it. And so that's why I wanted to play that clip. I think that clip is very rich in terms of a synopsis and an assessment, an analysis of what obtains today in Viewfort and why. He didn't go into the partisan politics of it, but I am doing so now. That is why Viewfortians, people of the South, must turn away from the St. Lucia Labour Party and to the United Workers' Party, because in the brief period that Alan Chasney was Prime Minister, and I say brief because he was robbed of almost 2 years because of COVID, we saw the difference in terms of his intentions, his plans, his vision for the South. Okay, and so at the end of the day, I asked the Viewfortians, I asked the people of the South to ask yourself a simple question. In Viewfort North, about 50 years of unbroken Labour representation. In Viewfort South, over 40 years of SLP representation, and in that 28 unbroken years with Dr. Kenny Anthony, 15 of which where he was Prime Minister. Okay? That in Labrie, you have another for about 50 years of unbroken Labour representation. That little southern corridor there, I want the people of that region to ask the question, what have we got to show for that loyalty that has been shown to the Labour Party? Okay? I heard Lady Lee say in a press briefing yesterday, and I was a little surprised to hear that, Viewfort is the third poorest constituency in St. Lucia. I was about saying, Lady Lee, don't you know that Viewfort is the second town in St. Lucia after Castries? And you tell me the second town after Castries is the third poorest? I mean, can you imagine that? That is the St. Lucia Labour Party legacy for the South. So I come back to you now, Lady Lee. Mm-hmm. After listening to Rick, I hope Tim doesn't have a problem with me clipping from his show. You know, I like to see myself now, Andre, as a man of the fraternity, so you don't tolerate me. You know? So, after having listened to that and what I've said, let's go to what obtains now. It is Lady Lee and it is Danny, the new kids on the block. Danny is obviously more of the same, a continuation of Dr. Kenny Anthony, and you are the fresh new UWP candidate coming into the seat. First of all, do you agree with Rick's assessment of Dr. Kenny Anthony's legacy? Or are you saying to us otherwise? You come from the South, so you probably would know a little better. You have more intimate knowledge than Rick, and I would. That, you know, Kenny has done great things for the South, and, you know, he was the transformative leader that you're looking for. Or is what Rick saying on target?
Rick is on point.
Yeah.
We had, I would put it that way, the people of Viewfort. You know, as if with everyone, they like something different, something new. Mm-hmm. So there was a whole hype and excitement when he came in. They saw him as the savior, put it that way. In the beginning of everyone's tenure, they were fresh. So the high hopes, the expectations, it was there. But that is not what we received when the people of Viewfort, I would say we, because I am a Viewfortian. Mm-hmm. Not meaning that I support it, but I am a Viewfortian. I have to settle because that is who is our rep. We did not receive what was expected. So I have to agree with him on that, because it did not work for us, as you can see for yourself. Viewfort is not what we expected, and Viewfort should be way further than it is right now. So yes.
Okay, so that brings me to the question, Lady Lee. And I'm sure you didn't expect me not to ask you that question. So, what are your plans for Vieux Fort?
My plans for Vieux Fort. I have so much plans for Vieux Fort. And I'm not just going to blow hot air. I know how I'm going to execute my plans as well. The first thing I would say is that you need to always ensure the security of your constituents. I'm not saying that Vieux Fort is the unsafe haven, but people need to feel safer because of what we went through.
Okay, but I want to stop you here I want to interrupt you here to ask a question. How do you feel as a Vieux Fortian about that tag they put on Vieux Fort, the escalated crime zone? How do you feel about that?
Well, Paco Chai, I'm disappointed. Now, the reason why I'm disappointed is that crime happens everywhere. Recently, Castries, oh my goodness, the valley, there was lots of crime, lots of murders happening everywhere. It was one after the other, 213 in a day in Castries, and that was not, Castries was never labeled. Right now, Vieux Fort is on a cam. TNUABI. We don't deserve that. Do you know that I have friends, young women apparently, who went to Castries to look for jobs? And because of that stain on us, they can't, when people ask them, where are you from? They can't even say I'm from Vieux Fort. And there is one particular lady, she's from Bruceville, which they label as the worst. No, Bruceville is a sweet place. I'm in Bruceville almost every single day, hanging with the people, speaking with them, getting to hear the grievances and what the issues are. And when they ask her, where are you from? What part of Vieux Fort? She did not say Bruceville because of the stain. Some people don't even say Vieux Fort because of the stain. So I am not in agreement. They need to remove that stain from us. It have a stagnant in Vieux Fort.
Yeah, well, just to support what you said, I mean, if you look at the sheer numbers, there have been far many more murders in the Castries Basin, including Castries East, where the Prime Minister represents, than you have had in Vieux Fort. That is not to say that we have not had more than our fair share of murders in Vieux Fort, but if you're going to label Vieux Fort an escalated crime zone, by now, Castries East should have been an escalated crime zone.
What's good for one is good for all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then what difference did it make? Did it have any effect on Vieux Fort, calling Vieux Fort an escalated crime zone?
Yes. Employment opportunities for the youth of Vieux Fort.
But did it affect business in Vieux Fort?
It does.
Yeah.
Because people, just the thought of hearing Vieux Fort's an escalated crime zone, who wants to venture there? People pick and choose where they go to. They stick to the main road, Clark Street. People don't want to go in here. They don't want to go now. There are little bypass roads that will connect you from here to here. People don't want to enter those places. Crime zone, it's not a good look. People overseas, once they hear Vieux Fort escalated crime zone, killers can't even Vieux Fort. Everybody wants to avoid Vieux Fort because of that. Right here in Castries, you would have people saying, women would be saying, "Moi, m'avle pièce nom Vieux Fort. By escalated crime zone, kite nom Vieux Fort, but me say you buy from Vieux Fort." We heard that all the time when all the crime and different stuff was happening. They need to remove us under that escalated crime zone label. They need to remove us. It's affecting us in Vieux Fort. Tourism-wise, people come down. The tourists come down. Come to Vieux Fort for what? If you have, there is a gunman waiting over there for a gun for you. Not for you per se, but a gunman is there. You think you're going to go there? Napolot Kote. And that is what's happening. It's affecting us individually. It's affecting businesses because when people hear that, they're not going to come to shop in Vieux Fort. Businesses will suffer. They will shut down. And economy-wise, it's not a good look at all for us. It's not.
Okay. Well, I took you away from your plans. Let's get back to your plans for Vieux Fort. Let me hear.
As for my plans for Vieux Fort, first of all, we need to ensure the security of the constituents because without that security, no one will want to come to invest in Vieux Fort. We have to make the people, the business people of Vieux Fort, the residents, feel safe. Now, by doing that, I believe we need to work collaboratively with law enforcement officials, business people, the residents. We have to come together. You have to educate them, enlighten them, bring the awareness what crime does to the economy of Vieux Fort. You have to speak to them. Let them know that if we work together harmoniously, that could make Vieux Fort a safer place. Now, when the place is safe, business investors, let's put it that way, will want to invest in Vieux Fort. Right now, lots of places shut down. They will come back. No crime really is happening. So let's make the people feel safe. Work with the police. Put your heads together. The residents of Vieux Fort, let them know what the safety means to us. It will bring revenue, economic activity, people, the development, all that will come into Vieux Fort. So that, I believe, is the first thing we have to ensure for Vieux Fort. Also, we have to make healthcare affordable and easily accessible. Now, when I say affordable, You know, we have the $75,000 health insurance.
Right.
It hurts my heart to see that when I go to St. John's Hospital, I can remove money from my purse and I can pay my bill. And there are people right there crying, they can't. Do you know that some places you go, you don't have money, you cannot get the treatment and the care that you need? So the $75,000 health insurance, that is something the people of St. Lucia need to take into consideration. And my people of Vieux Fort, think about it. Accessibility, that is another one.
But now that you talk about health insurance, I want to interrupt you again.
Yes.
To ask you the question. We have St. Jude's. For the last 16 years, that has been a bobo to not just the South, but St. Lucia as a whole. The hospital got burned 16 years ago, and up to now, that hospital cannot be reopened. The St. Lucia Labour Party is now trying to complete the old hospital. UWP was building a new hospital. I want you to comment on that, please. St. Jude's.
Okay, first of all, from word on the street, the staff disgruntled. They don't want to separate from each other. It's not, no, you send in half there and you live in half in the stadium. They're not about that. Then what I'm hearing about what is ready, or I should say almost ready to enter, it is not the best structure. What they call the box is the best. But what they went to do to renovate and refurbish the old one, I'm hearing a lot of complaints. It has not passed inspection, and it's coming from the mouth of the staff. So comparing the two, we are not in a good place health-wise. We are not. The staff disgruntled. Now, once your staff is disgruntled, that speaks volume. That speaks volume. The doctors don't want to enter. The nurses don't want to enter. It is not safe. So health-wise in Vieux Fort, right now, we're doomed. We are doomed.
Yes. Okay. Well, you can continue. You were talking about it.
Now, accessible to health care. In the month of June, some people cannot access health care. They cannot afford it, they cannot access it. Now, I personally have my own thinking. But before I get into that, there was a young lady I had to give, I won't call her a young lady, she's way older than I am. I had to give her a wheelchair just to get her mom 2 doctor's visits because she has no way of making her mom access that. And because I was giving out wheelchairs from December last year up until June, July of this year, and that is all my money. It's not coming from the party. Now that where it shows that I am for the people. I would use my own resources to care for the people of Vieux Fort. I don't have to wait on the United Workers' Party to give me money to do for the people. That when it comes, it is a plus. But at the present moment, I am using my own. And I have been donating wheelchairs. And I gave this lady a wheelchair for her mom just to get her to the health center back and forth. And the thing about it, which I feel good about myself, I don't pick and choose and say I'm going to give only the United Workers' Party supporters the help. That was a St. Lucia Labour Party person I gave that wheelchair to. Now, accessibility. My plan is to have transportation readily available for the senior citizens of Vieux Fort, to have them to and from the doctor's appointment. And that transportation will not be coming from the government. This is an initiative of from myself. I am going to access that. I am going to get that vehicle myself. So I want the people of Vieux Fort to know that I have the best interest at heart. Health-wise, health is my passion. That is my passion, no two ways about it. I have always wanted to be a doctor from a kid. When you see kids are out there having fun on vacation at the age of 14, I would spend my Sundays and my holidays as a child in the hospital, combing the elderly hair, bathing them, pediatric ward, doing those things. So that's where my childhood was spent. So I have aunts that are nurses. We have pharmacists in the family. So the healthcare, it's there. So accessible, I want to do that for the people of Vieux Fort, help them to access healthcare, provide the transportation for free for them. Take them to and from, especially the elderly citizens. Now also, we have a lot of talented youth in Vieux Fort. A lot that can sing. We have dancers, but especially the singers. I want to create a studio for them because that is one thing a lot of them are coming to me for. Access to a studio to record the songs and to display their talent. It is becoming a challenge because we don't have that in Vieux Fort. And when they do have to go out there, it's quite expensive. So that is something we have to do to harness and enhance the skills and the talent of the youth of Vieux Fort. So that is another way we're going to do that. Equitable distribution of caregivers for the elderly. That is another one of my plans, because the elderly, I hold them close to my heart, because I was my grandmother's favorite grandchild. Anything she had, it was for me. And I love the elderly. I have their best interests at heart. Now, under the United Workers' Party, we had, I would say, a substantial number of healthcare workers in Vieux Fort. And sad to say, all that was cut in half. So if we had 30, we now have 15. I'm just drawing a reference. So it's less now. That means less care for the senior citizens. When everyone had access to a healthcare worker, if you're going to cut that, that means one healthcare worker has 2 and 3 clients. How much care will that senior citizen get? They would come, they would cook, they would clean, and they have to leave because they have to go to another client. So we need to increase that to give the senior citizens better and proper care in Vieux Fort. Also, affordable childcare for single employed mothers. Now, this idea really came from young women, but one young lady stood out from Bruceville in Vieux Fort. And I have to speak like her and sound like her. My lady Ligas, I real frustrated because I have 4 children. I can't take care of my children. And they have jobs, you know. But if I get the job, where I put in my children? I cannot send my child to a child care because by the time I get that little salary, that's taking all my money. We need an affordable place we could put our youth so I can go and work. So that now brought that into me. We need affordable childcare that the government can be part of it. If the government is going to pay at least 50% of it, the child's mother can pay another 50 because they cannot afford it. Because a lot of the little jobs right now, the salary, it's very low. So by the time they put that child in childcare, tout l'argent a fini. So affordable childcare for single mothers, because trust me, they are struggling. We have a lot of single mothers in Vieux Fort. They are struggling. It's hard. And a lot of the fathers are not in the children's lives. So it's a big, tight position for the mothers. So that is one of the plans I have for Vieux Fort as well. Also, what is dear to me? To create a center for women. And that goes back to my experience in Barbados, what I went through. And a center, we're supposed to have a center in Castries, but it's not playing its role. I'm going to say it blatantly from what I've been told. It's not playing its role. It makes no sense at the present moment. It's quite dormant, inactive. It's not functioning the way it's supposed to. But that is the north. But I'm looking out for myself, people. We need to create a center for women. Women that have been battered. Women that need counseling. Women that need to reboot in life. Give them the advice that they need, that they could get the confidence, build it. We can help them to find jobs. We need a center like that for women to educate them, prepare them for the world of work, prepare them for the outer world. So that is something that is dear to me, and I want to spearhead this so much, and I wish the women of Vieux Fort, the people of Vieux Fort, would give me that chance to do that, because that is what assisted me in Barbados to help me get back on my feet after I went through what I went through. I lived in a shelter. I have no shame to say that. I lived in a shelter from December, because I went through my incident December 23rd. So I spent Christmas, New Year's, and I moved back to St. Lucia February 14th, 2011. So I lived in the shelter for like 2 months and a half, almost 2.5 months, and they took very good care of me, rehabilitated me. They did the counseling. I had to take speech therapy because I experienced some damaged nerves in my face. I'm not ashamed to say it, because I want women to learn from what I went through, that there is hope, and let me be that light, because I want to help them in that situation. So a center is very important in Vieux Fort, because lots of women have been battered, not only Vieux Fort, around the island, but I have to look out for my people of Vieux Fort and St. Lucia at large. So but I want to do that in Vieux Fort as well. Bus terminal for the drivers. That was something we touched based on in the press briefing yesterday. In Vieux Fort, we have Soufriere. I'm going to take it from Soufriere. We have Choselle. We have Labrie. We have Grace. We have Larry Shoes and Oji. Just line up by the side of the road. The bus drivers, no shelter, under the tree in the hot sun. If they want to urinate, under a tree, behind a building. That is not healthy. It is not a good practice. They deserve better. So we need to build a bus terminal to house all those, from Soufriere down to Oje, Larry Shoes. We need a bus terminal. And not just that, we need a car park in Vieux Fort as well. It can be adjacent to the bus terminal. We need a car park in Viewfort. We need to build a very good sporting facility in Viewfort. We need that because we have lots of sports persons in Viewfort that need to bring out the talent, bring out the skills. Swimmers. We have very good swimmers in Viewfort that they have to go all the way to Castries. Why can't we have a mini aquatic center in that same sporting facility? Just something good. We need that. Philip Marsleg grounds. You should see the roof of that. I'm not safe. It's not safe. It needs to be refurbished. They need to renovate it. The roof the galvanized is rotten. There is so much more. We need to develop the playing fields in Viewfort. Viewfort.
Sorry to say that, but I'm not listening to you and I'm asking myself, well, what is Kenny Anthony doing?
Massive. Yeah, there's so much that needs to be done.
Yeah.
We need to, the playing fields in Viewfort. We need that. We have a playing field in Larissus. At a point in time, the field in Larissus was the only 400-meter field on the island before the stadium was built. It was the only one. We have no lighting. It's sad because my son plays football there as well, and they have to race against the sun. Because when the sun goes down, that's it. Football fini. No lighting. They need some sits. We need to fix this. We have cantonment. Very good field. Same thing. The youth play football, but when you see nighttime come, that's it. Black Bay has a nice field as well. We need to fix those for the youth. We need to create a nice place for recreation. And last week I went to Honorable Alan Shastner's constituency for a community meeting. And then when I heard that they have a water park and they have all sorts of nice things, moi jaloux. Like I said, when they have water park, they have this, they have that. We don't have nothing to recreate. We have the recreation park, but we need more.
Yeah.
We need somewhere that the kids could sit down. Bouncing castles, a nice place you could sit down, calm and just relax. The kids, need to be supervised and just have fun. And I can go on and on and on. We need our cruise port, home cruise port. We need that in Viewfort. Right now, we have a lot of scenes in Viewfort, scenery in Viewfort.
Let me stop you here.
Yeah.
You said you need your own home cruise spot.
Yes.
In Viewfort. Now, I understand you'll have a good deep port, a harbour port, and that kind of thing. But how are you going to have your own cruise spot when your government entered into a deal with GPH? And part of the deal is that there's no development that's supposed to take place in Viewfort unless they are part of it or they approve of it. So does it mean that you and the United Workers' Party, when you all form the government, you all plan to revisit that agreement?
That is the only way to go around it. Because right now, you could say that we are strangled in Viewfort. There's nothing much that can happen in the port when it comes to development. Absolutely nothing much. Because, the deal with GPH, we are there, we're stagnant for 30 years. Port Castries and Soufrière can be developed, but Viewfort has to remain untouched for now, with the possibility
what did you all do to Labour, boy?
They hate us. Massive. What did we do?
You all have been so loyal. You all have been so loyal to them. Labour has pretty much represented this entire South for decades upon decades. And I'm hearing this kind of sad stories. That song you're singing there, really and truly, it really says that, boy, for the good you all have done for that party, you all have really gotten the shitty end of the stick, I'm hoping that the people of the South will finally take stock and realize that they have been shortchanged and will do something about it, honestly. Yeah.
I really do hope they come together, think about all what was promised,
but you see
was not delivered.
The way you're talking there, by the time you all finish in Viewfort, we in Grosley will be
Let
jealous.
me tell you, Grosley don't want nothing with us. All I want people in Viewfort to do, give the United Workers' Party a chance, give me the candidate a chance in Viewfort, and for St. Lucia to give the entire United Workers' Party the chance.
But this is a very interesting proposition, the home cruise port in port there. That'll bring a lot of business to Viewfort,
right now we have been bypassed.
Yeah.
When the tourists come down to Viewfort, from the plane, they check in, check out, they bought the vehicle and what? Castries or Soufrière. That's it. There is nothing in Viewfort. If we have a cruise, my God, with development, we can develop Sandy Beach. There is so much that can be done. We have a lighthouse in Viewfort. That's the second highest lighthouse in the world. Yeah. Have you been to the lighthouse?
No, never.
The scenery, the view from up there, tourist attraction. We have all of those things in Viewfort. And those are things that we can fix, develop. Once we have that home cruise spot, tourists will frequent Vieux Fort, build hotels. There's so much that can be done. Because with the home cruise, we ain't going to be stupid. We want hotels in Vieux Fort too. We don't want tourists come in and every tourist have to go to Gros Islet, go to Castries, or go to Soufrière and bypass Vieux Fort. We want our slice of the pie. So we will develop Vieux Fort. And by the time we're done with Vieux Fort, bye-bye Gros Islet. Yes, bye-bye.
Well, we won't be sleeping, you know. I'm sure that people of Gros Islet will put in office a UWP representative as well that will keep up pace with what's happening in the South.
I have a little question for Lady Lee.
Oh, so hold on, Lady Lee. I was just about to say, Andre's a bias fella. Every guest I bring there, he wouldn't pressure on them, but because you in the media fraternity, it was time you asked a question, Andre.
Yes. You made a very good point, Lady Lee, earlier about how Vieux Fort was full of life.
Yes.
Right? I remember as a young boy, a young man, I was very in Vieux Fort very, very often for a number of good reasons, right? Even tents, TENTs were being hosted there at one point in time.
Because I was one of the backup dancers for a lot of the Calypso tent singers, like Yadi was one. We had Fonty, we had Cinti. I was one of the backup dancers for the South Calypso tent.
So that was you.
Yes, that was me.
So even the hotel life and so on. I mean, it was really, Vieux Fort is really full of life.
It was.
So I'm just asking you, what do you think happened? What happened? Somebody dropped the ball. What happened?
Somebody, you don't know, Andre?
I don't know.
Who was in charge of Vieux Fort for the last 28 years?
I guess people had a change of plans, different ideas. I just don't know why. Because if I were to be the rep for Vieux Fort, I would look to accentuate everything we have in Vieux Fort, make Vieux Fort bigger and better, not go into regression. So that question, I cannot seem to get the answer wrapped around my head. Why we would be going backwards? So that's a question I can't even get the proper answer for this one, because I just don't see why or how that is happening. Yeah.
You see, at the end of the day, I mean, there's no excuse. I mean, Dr. Anthony, I will not sit here and say he did nothing.
He did.
But at the end of the day, he fell far short of expectation. The promise that he brought was not delivered. And so when you think about the fact that he had it all, he was the Prime Minister of this country. He was the Minister of Finance. He was the Parliamentary Representative of Vieux Fort for a long stretch, for 28 years running now. And to think that, at the end, what is the product you're presenting now, you deliver and you're handing over? What is it? By your own government's definition, an escalated crime zone. People in Vieux Fort will tell you business, economic activity has declined dramatically. People are afraid, in terms of safety and security in Vieux Fort. I mean, that is a dismal picture. I'm hearing people like Lady Lee and even Danny Butcher is taking over from him, talking about what they're going to do for Vieux Fort and a library. Really, Andre, in 2025, you're talking about the second major town in the country. We're talking about a library in 2025. We don't have a library there.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I mean that. These are the things we must ask ourselves, And that's why, I was a parliamentary rep for 2 terms, Andre, and it's not consecutive terms that are broken up, because you have an advantage if you have consecutive terms. Okay, you can just continue smoothly and so on, rather than having to stop. And if you return later on to start all over again and all of that. He had the privilege of 5 or 6 consecutive terms, as the representative. 15 of those, you're the top man in the country. So you didn't have to go to plead to anybody, whatever this, you could call the shots, and then you're telling me that, when I listen to both sides, Andre, I'm hearing what Lady Lee is saying. Some of the ideas very, forward thinking, like the home port for cruise ships, and the airport and things like that are very forward thinking and with national implications. They're going to benefit the most, but the country will benefit as a whole. And so, but I even heard Danny, the things he's talking about, the little park here, the little things, and I'm saying to myself, really? I wouldn't have mentioned those things if I was in Danny's place, unless Danny was trying to expose Dr. Kenny Anthony. You understand? That's an embarrassment. That's a shame. That's a disgrace. You know, that you come and talk about, your party has had that constituency for the last 30 unbroken years, almost 40 years in total that you all have represented Beaufort. We had Henry Girodi and, to my recent memory, Henry Girodi and Eldridge Stevens. Other than that, it has always been Labour. And you're telling me the constituency of Beaufort South in particular is lacking all those basic amenities that in 2025 we're talking about that in a town? Well, let me tell you something. If I had the opportunity to represent Grosile for 3 consecutive terms, not even Labon wouldn't be needing those things. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, sorry.
Now you mentioned...
Are you going to be taking calls?
Yes, we are. We're going to be taking calls.
Now you mentioned a library. I'm even going to go further. We don't even have a market.
Imagine that.
We don't even have a market. Right now the vendors are occupying the pathway on the site. So basically you now have to walk in the road for the vendors. We don't have a market. A human resource center. We don't have that. Do you know that there are lots of people in Beaufort, Bruceville, Cantonment, they have been living on land for over 20 years and yet to own that land?
And you know how many years Labour has been talking about land rationalization, and up to now.
That is something
so
we plan to do as well.
So how could you trust Danny when he comes and continues the same rhetoric that anything is going to be done? When he is a product of Dr. Anthony, he's Dr. Anthony's protege, and he has said that he's going to continue on the same vein as Dr. Anthony.
Now, can I just answer one of the persons under the live? Asking Lady Lee, what is your qualifications? Darling, Mr. Claude, I said it earlier and I'm going to say it again. I have an associate's degree in health science and I major in health policies and public health, and I'm almost done with my bachelor's degree. I hope you're satisfied. You're not going to deter me or distract me. I hope you are satisfied.
I congratulate you and compliment you, but as someone who has been in the politics, who has been a parliamentary representative, yes, it is good to have academic qualification, but that is not all. When we talk about academic qualification, Beaufort should have been a little Miami, because Dr. Kenny Anthony has a PhD, and that did not make a difference.
Correct.
I just want whoever it is on the platform to know that, you know. So go ahead, Lady Lee, with your plans for Beaufort.
Yeah, like I said, the market, human resource center, people to own land. There is so much that needs to be done in Beaufort.
I don't want to make you feel bad, but I was only allowed, well, and thankfully so. I mean, they can't sound like I have an entitlement, all right. But I was parliamentary representative for Grossley for 2 terms, and it wasn't consecutive terms. During that time, I'm proud to say Grossley has a human resource center. Moshi has a human resource center. Well, now there's one in Grand Riviere since the new rep came in. And I had a market in Grossley as well, Andre. So I just saying so to tell you, well, you're real far behind. You're really far behind. Yes, I know. I'm just rubbing it in, Andre. I'm just rubbing it in, And to think that they had, and even when he wasn't prime minister, that was a senior member of the party, and he didn't even save you all the embarrassment and disgrace of being called escalated crime zone. But Lady Lee, I don't know if you were through with your list. I mean,
that list long,
Yeah.
We have a lot of work to do in Beaufort.
I'll be honest with you. I know when you're on the hustings in Beaufort, you'll talk about your little footpath in Bruceville, in this place, in that place, and so on. But I think you mentioned some of the major things which are impressive, like the airport. And you understand why I'm interested in the airport. It's not just your airport, you all benefit the most from it, but it's a national thing that will impact our national economy. The cruise ship port, again, when the people, because for home port in Andre, the people have to fly to St. Lucia.
You have 2 people waiting online, huh?
Yeah, you have to fly to St. Lucia to catch the boat. But sometimes they come the day before, so they have to overnight. That means restaurant, that means taxi, that everything. That's economic activity in Beaufort. Plus, they have to supply the ship with, they have to provide supplies for the ship, food and all of that. So this is big business that we're looking at there. And I mean, I don't think Dr. Anthony had the vision for it. Now, the St. Lucia Labour Party as a whole does not have that vision, and that's why I think the people of the South should make every effort to ensure that they turn things around, flip the page and give UWP a chance and have you as the parliamentary representative.
One thing I want to make clear, I'm not going to sit here and say that Dr. Anthony never did nothing. So, people, I'm not going to discredit him and say that he did nothing. He did for Vieux Fort, but he did not do enough. Maybe he may have done a lot of personal things for people in Vieux Fort, but to say aesthetically, to say we could say, well, he did that building which house businesses. That's
but you see the transformative things, Lady Lee, the transformative that will boost the economy.
Yes, it was not done.
And that will stem the tendency and temptation to go into a life of crime. Because you see, while I'm not saying that it's because you're poor you got into crime, but where there is poverty, there's a nexus between poverty and criminal activity.
Yes.
And if people are occupied, that's another thing. If people are gainfully occupied, they have options, they are alternatives, there's less likelihood that they would engage in a life of crime. And so these are the things that we have to look at, these are the things you have to understand. But you see, what I have to tell you, I listened to Dr. Anthony, and even that threat that Rick Wayne referred to that he made to Tommy Descat, about be careful what you say about me and that kind of thing. I mean, you don't expect that at this stage from Dr. Anthony. You expect him to be more statesmanly, and be more of a shining light and a guide to you the younger politicians. But I heard he threatened you to at one time,
I had a conversation with Tommy this morning. I had to ask Tommy, is there something you're not saying to me and to us? What did you do to the gentleman? I asked Tommy that this morning. He said, what did I do? All I did was highlight. I just spoke about what's
he should
evident.
have threatened to you as well, because he said, well, he has not said anything about you, something to that effect. I don't know what is it you said.
Like, basically, don't speak about him, stuff like that. But the point is, if I am going to be the rep, I have to highlight whatever deficiencies and ills that exist in the town of Vieux Fort. So if it's so mean that I have to make mention to him, because he is the district rep and has been for almost 30 years, I have to highlight those things. I'm not trying to disrespect him or discredit him, but I have to make mention.
No, well, I want Dr. Anthony to know that we'll show reverence where it is due. We recognize his seniority and everything else, and whatever little contribution he made. I mean, it is a personal sacrifice to engage in public life, in politics in St. Lucia and so on. So I salute anyone who takes the plunge. But at the same time, do not think that you can come into the politics and you're above reproach and that people cannot criticize and analyze your performance and so on. You're not above that. You're not beyond that. And if you fell short, that's on you. You can't blame anybody for that, So Dr. Anthony has to understand that.
And another thing I've always been saying, Spider, in this age, 2025, why should people in the South have to come up to Castries for a birth certificate? That is one of the most ridiculous things. We are not a village. We are a town. Yeah. We need our own civil status registry in Vieux Fort. I'm tired. Sometimes just a letter. You have to come back to Castries.
Now, these are the more forward-thinking things that I seen on the part of the UWP. Now, I must say, as a young man, I was a little disappointed in some of what I heard from Danny Butcher. It's the same old, SLP politics that, he, again, I should not be surprised because he's coming out of the mold of a Kenny Anthony and intends to continue the legacy of Kenny Anthony. So, if you thought with him what you're going to get, more of the same. With Lady Lee, that's where the transformation will come. So give UWP an opportunity and judge after the 5 years. So Lady Lee, I want to congratulate you first of all on your approach to the politics. I think it is expected that you, the young people, bring a new approach, and Realist talks about.
I guess we're the hybrid, right?
The Mepri and all of those things.
This is not me. You're not going to get that from me.
I think people are impressed with you all, the approach that you all have taken, and I know among the young Turks, you all have taken the decision that that's the way you're going to go. But is there anything so far that you have experienced in the politics that would make you think twice about your decision?
I'm not thinking twice of my decision, and I will never. But there are deterrents in it for other persons who may be thinking of it. All the name calling, the insults. Let's take it back to right now they want to target me on my dad. But my father's life is his life. Judge me on my own merits. I am not saying that what my dad may have done in his past was the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you a little history, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was not born with a silver spoon.
Right.
I was born from a family that are hustlers, work hard. My dad is from Castries, left Castries at the age of 17, moved to Vieux-Fort for a better life, left his mom and the other siblings, and he was the one at 17. He worked hard to try to take care of his mom and his other siblings. So the best way to do it was to get out of Castries, out Marsha, Maynard Hill to be precise. So he moved to Vieux-Fort, just a shirt on his back, a little nail on his clothes from what I was told, and a little, I think they call it a minimo, those little cars.
Right.
That's all he had. Then he met my mom. My mom had to be stealing food from her mother, pass it on the gate to feed my dad at the age of 17, 15 and 17, young love. Then eventually, my grandparents didn't really approve of the relationship, so they had to go rent the little stuff. My father had to be a man, was a roadside mechanic. Then he was a fisherman, working with people, doing a little talk to get his money to take care of his family. At the time, they had only 4 of us. I was the third. Rented a little house, a tea bag, one little thing. You use curtains to partition. 1 bedroom, kitchen, and la salle, I will call it, is one. You understand me? At that time, parents in the one room. The other side, you make your little bed on the floor for the kids. I was raised like that. You shared amenities. You had 1 pipe, different tenants. I was raised like that in a yard they call Mr. Ferguson. Any of you fortunes listening would know what I'm talking about. So my dad got the opportunity on a boat, this big ships to go on, be a troubleshooter, an engineer. He was very good at that. And from there, he worked his way up the ladder. So it's not like he was born with a silver spoon. Now I'm being judged on all the activities that my father... Listen, let me tell you something. The reality of things, people will do what they have to do to take care of their family. You think you as a parent want to hear that your child will go to bed hungry and you cannot take care of your children and your wife? What is my dad doing that others have not done? Not that I'm saying that what he did was the right thing. Not that I have understanding of life. As a child, you don't know those things. And I'm being judged for it. But there are people in ministerial posts doing worse than he did in the past. Like the world said, he was. He is not. My dad is an elderly man, over 70 going up. Let him rest. Don't judge me on his past. He did what he had to do to take care of his woman and his children at the time. And I'm going to say it again. I'm not trying to justify what he did. I'm not saying what he did was the right way. But at the time, that's what he thought he could have done to take care of his children.
So this criticism, is that coming from the spirited supporters or from the politicians themselves?
Politicians and Central Labour Party
supporters.
Yeah.
I've heard Richard Frederick on his program.
Yeah.
Threatened like, he's going to talk about your father and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've heard Richard Frederick. Of all persons, Andre, Richard Frederick. Now let me just say this. And again, I'm not seeking to justify anything. I don't really know the story myself.
No justification.
I don't really know the story myself, and I'm not looking to ameliorate anything. But let me just say this. You now, Lady Lee, have a responsibility to create an environment for the young men of Vieux-Fort so that they could have the option not to follow a path that may be undesirable.
Correct.
And that is what it is all about, and that is why I admire some of the plans that you and the United Workers' Party have for the South that will provide some of the economic base that is needed for people to thrive and not have to resort to anything unsavory.
But Leonard, have you and your party condemned that sort of those statements? Because, I mean, that is like, what do you call it, ababude?
Yeah, of course, we condemn it, but it doesn't make a difference to them. Richard Frederick in particular is classless, and there's no limit for him. He doesn't know, he doesn't have a sense of propriety or anything. He's very insultive, very base, very crass, and especially when it comes to women.
Yeah, but you tell me, what does her father's past have to do with her? I don't get it.
Yeah, well, and that's the point. And I hope St. Lucians understand that. I hope people in the South understand that. That they will see instead Richard Frederick and the likes for who and what they are. Okay, as opposed, because see, sometimes people try to put you down, but they say more about themselves than they know about you. And so, Lady Lee, you have every reason to be proud to be where you are and who you are today. You know, and that is what I think people have to look to in terms of when it takes character, it takes strength to be the person that you are, despite the background you told me that you have. You came from poor beginning, those that kind of household and all of that kind of thing, and made yourself something today. That is something to be proud of. So never let anybody make you feel.
No. And the sad part about it, they will only speak about, oh, he was this, he was that. Speak about the good as well. My father did a lot. It's not like whatever he did, whatever he took part in, he kept it all to himself. My father took care of a lot of people in Vieux Fort. Speak about that as well. Speak about the good he have done. A lot of households in Vieux Fort. My father is one that brought football tournaments to Vieux Fort. A lot of stuff to bring out the youths. To bring interactiveness in Vieux Fort. Speak about those things as well, not just the bad. My father had boats. It created employment for people in Vieux Fort. Do you know that when I go out canvassing, people I don't even know would tell me, I'm voting for you because of what your father have done for me. And I know nothing what my dad have done for them. They would tell me what he has done for them. I know absolutely nothing about it. I lived in Choiseul for a year in 2023. And there were actually people knocking on my door in Choiseul. I'm like, but where does people know me from? I took a year out from Vieux Fort to heal, to be out of my mom's house. I just needed to heal after my mom passed. I spent a year with my 2 kids in Choiseul. People would just walk up to me and knock on my door. I bought some fish for you, I bought some this. I'm like, but where is it coming from? They said, because of your dad.
Yeah,
that's what they would say to me, because of the good. Your father have done so much for me, and I just want to take care of you.
So you have every reason to look at the positive now, lady.
Yes.
And as a person offering yourself as a leader for your people, I think what's most important are the plans that you're laying out.
Correct.
The vision that you have for Vieux Fort, and the difference you intend to make. And that is why you see, Andre, the Labour Party has to be is stuck in transactional politics, trying to buy votes. And I understand they're giving people $50 in T-shirts to attend their rally and that kind of thing, as opposed to the UWP. Like I always say, you literally do not have to buy votes; you have to sell a vision to the people. While the Labour Party is buying votes from the people.
I am not going to do that. There are people that would say, lady, you have to pay me to vote. I'm like, that you're not going to get from me, because you know what? I have better expectations from you. I want to uplift you. And like I would tell them, listen, you say you want $500 for your vote. Somebody said that's what they got the last time. I said, let me tell you something. If I pay you $500 for your vote, do you know that I don't even have to look at you after that? Because I've paid you for $100 for every year, 5 years. So see, my lad, see here we go. Pavini de they say, oh boy, that means you pay me already.
That's exactly what.
And I said that's what it is. I don't owe you. So is that what you want?
Them how they did.
I'm not gonna do that hand to mouth. Let me develop Vieux Fort. Let me provide opportunities for employment. You work. Let me give you a job. Don't come to me today for a tank of gas. You want money for this tomorrow. I don't want that. I don't want to see people belittling themselves. That's not what I want to see. I want to see you vote me in. Let me work for you. Let me provide the job opportunities for you, and then you can take care of yourself and your family. That's what I want. And probably tomorrow, like I tell a young man, you always telling me, Lady Lee, boy, buy me a drink. I want tomorrow you tell me, Lady Lee, look a malt, look a soft drink. I want you to buy me something tomorrow, not me always giving you. He said, Irie, I like that. And that's what I'm working with. I'm straightforward. I'm as real can be. I don't come to play around. I come to do for the people of Vieux Fort, and I want that opportunity. They're going to get proper representation from me. I don't have the money flinging here, there, telling people vote for me, putting money in T-shirts. You're not going to get that from me. Right now, what I do, I use my own resources, and I can assure you, put me vis-a-vis the other person. Do you really think people would take the kind of money that I'm spending out of their pockets to do for people? That is hard. Lots of people won't do that. And that is what I am doing. Do you know that last Christmas, December, my husband sent me 3 barrels. And I just packaged things for people. Ham, turkey, chicken, and I bought more stuff. Did food hampers for the elderly for the Christmas. And when Christmas Day came to cook for my family, I look at my cupboard, I'm like, huh? Man, I barely had food to cook for my own family, because I was just doing and giving people, and that's it. So when I made people live well, I barely had stuff to cook a proper meal for my kids. All because I just wanted people to have a good Christmas, give them something nice to smile for that time. And that is something I have been doing long before politics. I have always been giving out clothes. For my program, The Morning Buzz at Hot FM, I have been doing all those things, help people get homes to stay in. I actually had courts one day to furnish an entire home, from fridge to stove, everything for an elderly couple in Pac Beth Olio. And ask me where that is, I don't even know. And courts did all that. Those are things I have been doing for people, and that's long before politics. So giving back is just part of my nature. I can't run away from it. It's just me.
Okay, but I realize the time is rapidly running out.
You have 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Yeah, sorry, I can't give you any more time because we have a program coming on after.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, but and then we won't bother going to calls now.
There's so much to say. I'm so sorry, people.
You'll have to come back, Lady Lee.
Maybe, of course, hopefully. Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add, anything you wanted to say. But before you do, let me just say this. I want to congratulate the United Workers' Party for putting a formidable team together. And I'm happy, and I'm not saying so because you're here now. I'm happy that at least they sought to bring some gender balance. There are 3 ladies in the team here.
Yes, Marcella
and Laura, including you, and so on. And I'm hoping that you will be, when I say you, the 3 of you will be a difference, will bring a breath of fresh air. Because on the other side, there are women, but they are not speaking out on causes of women. They are not taking up the mantle as people who have a voice to speak out on behalf of women. I'm hoping, I notice you all are doing it, but I'm hoping that when you all get in, you all do not forget to continue doing it, and that is one of the things I look forward to from the 3 of you. I have to say that to you.
As for forget, I will not forget, because like I tell people, my house is in Cedar Heights, Vieux Fort. I can't run from people. Everybody know where Lady Lee lives. So if right now I'm coming to you, soliciting your support, and then I get in, I have to fulfill. Because remember, I am of Vieux Fort. I live in Vieux Fort. I have children. I want to create this environment that my children can also benefit from. Because if I don't do it, my children will also suffer. And I always tell people, wouldn't you rather have a rep that is easily accessible, that you can call at any time? Do you know that I'm Spider and Andre? There are people who call me midnight, 1 o'clock. They need to get to the hospital when they can't get an ambulance. And I would leave alongside my husband and my kids to take them. And those are things I was doing before politics, because they are friends, and even though they weren't friends, they need assistance, I would do that. So that is the type of rep you want. A genuine person at heart. You're not doing things because of politics. That is not me. I want people in Vieux Fort to give me the chance. Get to know me. Get to know the genuine person that I am. Some of you know. I want you to know the little tutu that you'll know, not Lady Lee, the little tutu that you'll know in Vieux Fort, born and raised by the Labouche in Vieux Fort. The one that is not fresh, not vain, that would sit by the roadside like I used to back then. I still do it now. If the time permits and I'm walking and I meet some friends I'm talking with, I sit with them. It's not too much for me to do. I want you all to give me the chance. That's all I'm asking for. Give me the chance. Put your trust in me and let me work for you. I will be a leader that will listen, a rep that will listen, a rep that will not just make decisions because I believe that is what you want in Vieux Fort. I don't make decisions like that. I will dialogue with you. And based on what you say, you will also be part of the decision making. That is how like they say, we are the hybrids of United Workers' Party. Myself, Tommy, Kaka, Laura, Marcella, the new ones, the young ones. Yes, Elisha. Call us the young breed. Hybrid. Stephen, Frevria, we have a lot. Call us the hybrid. Well, I'll accept that. It's okay.
Ben and Bradley.
We have Ben, Bradley. Oh my God, we have so many of the young. Yeah.
I mean, it's a very impressive team.
Very.
And I just hope you all understand and realize a lot is expected of you. Do not disappoint St. Lucia like the crew that came in with Dr. Anthony did. Because when they came, they brought a lot of hope and promise. But of course, they did not deliver. We are expecting you all to deliver. And I say so as a St. Lucian. I'm no longer in the fray, but I have only one passport. Here's where I intend to spend the rest of my life. And I want to live a good life. That depends on you all.
Thank you so much. So my people of Vieux Fort, Bruceville, the Mang, we have Lavishus, Contomendo, Carmel, we have Demon, Latuni, Cedar Heights, Black Bay, the Orchard, Vieux Fort Town, Just give me that chance. That's all I need. And let me work for you. That's all I'm asking for. Give me the chance and let me work for you.
So we're out of time, Lady Lee.
Yes.
I want to thank you
Thank
for
you so
coming
much.
to meet the opposition.
Yes.
As Andre said, he doesn't say that about me, but he said he wants you to come back.
I will
so
be back.
we will certainly have you back as that time unfolds. And I just want to thank Andre, you first of all, always being a good host and adding some flavor and spice with your interventions.
Let me thank you for coming to Tony's funeral.
Oh yes,
I appreciated that.
Yeah, I had to by all means, because I've always known him as a very affable, very amicable kind of person, and coming here on Thursdays, we used to have our little exchanges and so on, which I always look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the Thursday before he died,
yes,
we did not speak for very long. I was saying to him, I'm on the run. I had to go to the hospital with my brother who was ill. And so, we didn't get to speak, and that was the last time we exchanged a few words. But, I hope you all are, managing the loss.
Yes, we are.
And so on.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so let me just thank all the listeners to meet the opposition, and let me ask that you join us in Grosile. We spoke a lot about the south today, so let's move to the north now. Grosile, on Sunday we have Sunday Live in Grosile, and of course on Monday there will be motorcade whistle stop in the town of Grosile. And let me just announce to my viewers and listeners and fans of Like It Is, and because it is a holiday, there'll be no Like It Is it will not be Like It Is on Monday. So thanks once again, have a good day and enjoy your weekend.
Thank
you.
Yeah.
Let's Mantut.
Yeah.
And Lady Lee, thank you very much.
Yes.
This has been Meet the Opposition, or as they say, Meet the Government in Waiting, right? Hosted by Leonard Spider-Man-Tut. Join us again next week, Thursday, same time, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for another program. So this is the end of my stint here on Rev-Up for today, Thursday, the 2nd of October. Thanks for listening, and thanks for viewing. You can join me tomorrow morning, same time from 5 o'clock until 11 for another Wake Up and Live. Now we have Kina coming on next. She'll be with you until 3 this afternoon. From 3 until 5, Zen the DJ. Then from 5 until 6, we have Paul Politic with Mary Polio. So do enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Andre Paul wishing you a safe day. Bye-bye.